Go get them. I made it nice. You should trip into the answer.
First step, right donation.
That's step 0.
Step 1.
should have been quick. I said you should just kind of fall into the answer. Who's still going? Okay. You. Don't you start this. The jar's in there. Give you 2 minutes to finish up. Said this one comes out nice. Even if you only kind of half know what you're doing, it should still be 3 steps. If you really know what you're doing, you can knock it out in 2. Okay, we gotta get going. I'm betting most of you didn't do this, but Counterintuitive to most folks. Like, why would you do this? There was a 1 up in the top left corner, command zone. Why would you do that? Because row 1 minus 3 row 3s. You see it? Times negative 3 and add it, negative 1, times negative 3 and add it, gone, times negative 3 and add it, gone, times negative 3, negative 9, add it, negative 1. Row 2 plus row 3, add it, gone, add it, 1, add it, gone, add it, 5. Leave it alone. And then step 2, I'll negate row 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. Leave it alone, 0, 1, 0, 5. And notice there's a 0 here and here. So if I'm trying to get rid of those, I can one-shot row 3 plus row 1 plus row 2. Gone. Gone. 0 plus 1 is 1. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. If you can see the matrix, you can two-shot this. Now I'm betting there was no one first hour who thought of that. Was there anyone in here? The idea is when you see negative 3, 3, negative 1, 1, you see the potential to double shot. Now, if you didn't do that, I'm betting a good chunk of us instead went with 1, negative 1, 1, 3, negative 1, 2, negative 1, 2, 2, negative 3, 3, 8, squiggle. Work your way around the loop. Go in that order. Sometimes you'll rotate that order and maybe start from down here. If you're really good, maybe sometimes you'll start in the middle of it. But that's the plan. So stage 1, I'm going to knock out some x's. No matter what, you're always doing x's at the same time, y's at the same time, z's at the same time. So I'm going to say row 1 plus row 2, resulting in the same thing, gone, 1, gone, 5. Not going to touch this, 1, negative 1, 1, 3. I'm betting most of us did row 3 plus 2 row 2s, so you don't have to mess with any negatives. Times 2 and add it, gone. Times 2 is 4 and add it. Times 2 is negative 2 and add it. Times 2 is 4 and add it. So stage 1 was to use this 1 to knock out those. Stage 2 will be use this 1 to knock out those. I'm going to say row 1 plus row 2 again. 0 plus 1 is still 1. 1 plus negative 1 is 0, bye-bye. 0 plus 1 is still 1. 5 plus 3 is 8. Row 3 minus row 2. 0 minus 0 is still 0. 1 minus 1, bye-bye. 1 minus 0 is 1. 12 minus 5 is 7. Leave row 2 alone. And then last stage. I now have a 1 here. I'll knock out z's. Row 1 minus row 3. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Like so. I'm betting that's the route most of us took. I would probably guesstimate a third of us did not do blue as a double step. Instead, just took out the Y at the bottom, then went and got rid of the Z's, then came back and got rid of the other Y, so doing it in 4 steps instead of 3. But regardless, you're still taking care of those steps. So here's what we're doing. There's an awful lot going on here, and because there's a not infinite, but certainly large number permutation of ways that you can do this. Likert scale. You got all the work shown, you got all the way to the end of the rainbow, no problem. As we're going through the work, you saw exactly where it was. God, negative. You know exactly where it was. You followed the process, and maybe at the end you got something like -357. Okay, you were close. You made more than one little error. You made multiple small errors. Or you made a small error further in the back that dominoed so hard, yours doesn't even remotely resemble this. I have no idea where my error is. Or I didn't even finish the problem because I was so lost. I at least tried the problem. And as we all know, you didn't even try. Okay? Freshman. 12 days.
Next year.
I'll have them for Spartan time. For Spartan time, I can just say, be quiet and leave me alone. So, it'd be a minimum 2 years before I see any of these kids in Algebra 2. I take that back. Some of them failed so hard that they're going to, if they pass at all, they're going to end up in my inclusion algebra. Huh. Well, in terms of questions on the homework, pure and simple, no, I ain't going through them. Because either you are willing to ask questions and you have sent me pictures of your work and you tried to figure this out, or you didn't. I'm not going to go through it because the way that I do it is just one permutation of the ways to go through it. I need to see what you do. Now, the thing that most kids had a question on anyway was because they didn't remember rule number 2. Rule number 2, you can multiply any line of a matrix by anything whenever you feel like. If you don't like fractions, don't work with fractions. What's the least common denominator for 3 and 6? So I'm going to say 6 row 1 down here. Why is he doing that? Times 6, 42, times 6, 4, times 6, 1, times 6, negative 26. Least common denominator between 5, 3, and 10. Keep going. 30. 30 row 2. Negative 18, 30, negative 10, 33. Least common denominator between 5 and 2. 10 row 3. So I'm also swapping while I'm at it. Times 10, times 10, times 10 times 10. Get going. How many of us spent a page and a half of work just mired down in a nasty look? It looked like you murdered a pencil. Fractions everywhere. No idea what I'm doing. You can multiply any row of a matrix by something at any given time. Multiply them. No more fractions. We teach you that in algebra half. Denominators are evil. We don't like them. Make them go away. Like literally, that's what we say in my algebra half first semester and algebra inclusion. But what do I do? Denominators are evil. We don't like them. Make them go away. Oh, hey, I know that guy. That's the first step. If you don't like fractions, don't work with fractions. Okay?
71. I don't even know how to solve that.
It's just a fraction.
Yeah. He was saying 61.
Add 5 to the other side. Oh boy, so on that note, as Gozer said in 1984, the choice is made. It was closer than I thought it was going to be. But anytime you give kids an option to do less work, they choose less work. One day final it is. Okay? It was closer than I thought it was. I was expecting like an 80-20 split. It was more like a 60-40. I was surprised that many people aimed for 2-day, but the more I think about it, y'all really worry about something that doesn't really matter, GPA, and you're just desperate for anything that might be a difference of a couple of decimal points because that makes all the difference. No, it doesn't. No one cares. Really, no one cares. Your ACT is what matters. So you all have the review. Y'all, that's what you're going to get. You get that piece of paper and whatever you can write on it. You will turn it in with your final. If you don't turn it in with your final, you get no credit on your final. Don't you forget. Don't forget, you walk out of here with that review after taking the final. Doesn't matter if I've got 24 different forms of it. I have to assume that you're doing that for a nefarious purpose to try to give something to someone, in which case you get a 0 on the final. What's up?
We take the final the first day or the second day?
And because we have chosen 1-day final, you are scheduled to be in here block 2 the 25th and block 3 the 26th, right behind Logan's head. Doc! You're scheduled to be in here those 2 blocks. If we're doing a 1-day final, I'm going to let you choose. If you show up on day 1, don't show up on day 2. If you aren't here on day 1, I'm going to assume you're going to be here on day 2. If you're not here on day 1 and you haven't talked to me, and then you're not here for day 2, I'm going to assume you're not taking the final. 0. Don't do that. Because both classes are choice of 1 or 2 day. So because both classes have choice of which day they're doing, and because that's all of my morning classes, then you actually have, if you want to change your final to a different block, if you don't show up during block 2 Wednesday or block 3 Thursday, if you're not showing up to one of those, I assume you're not taking it. But if you want to take it a different block, you have available to you blocks 1 and 2 on the 25th, blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the 26th, blocks and block 1 on the 27th. You have those 7 available to you. If you want to do it a different block other than your scheduled time, you have to tell me at a minimum by next Friday so I have things scheduled. No block 4 on the 25th is not an option because I'm not here. So,
Is it like timed, like where if you come on the first day, don't finish it?
oh no, you will finish during that 90 minutes or you just guess.
Okay.
I'm not letting kids. No. Some of y'all have been super slow. This was timed and relegated. This was timed and regulated 4 years ago. I've been able to use the same 24 versions off and on for the last how many years? You got the 90 minutes. If you don't come and talk to me about some form of accommodation, you got 90 minutes. If you don't know at 90 minutes, hey, it's a multiple choice test. You got reasonable work there? Guess. You have 5 options. One of them's right. The other 4 are I intentionally did it wrong and worked it all the way to the end zone. I missed a negative, ran it all the way. I squared like a freshman, ran it all the way. I flopped the numerator and denominator in the rational exponent and ran it all the way. I used a bracket instead of a parenthesis. That's how an ACT is done. Any of you who have taken them. Okay? I did it the way a test is supposed to be done. 1 point reasonable work, 2 points correct answer. Very hard to fail, very easy to get an A. Or no, very hard to fail, very hard to get an A. Because you can get half the test wrong and still end up with a 67%. But that's 60 total points. Y'all got a calculator. What's 92% of 60? I know there's an awful lot of you who are aiming for that A. No. What's the whole answer? That means you can't get 55 out of 60. Oh, no. Wait, I'm thinking of when I had 40 questions. Never mind, because it was like 0.7 something. Okay. 55 out of 60. 2 points for a wrong answer. 1 point wrong for no reasonable work shown. So you can get 2 wrong to get an A. Assuming that you have all correct reasonable work shown. Very hard to fail, very hard to get the A. Earn it. There's an awful lot of kids last semester. Like, do you think you're not supported enough for it? I'm giving you a review that looks identical to it, and you get to tell yourself how to do the test. Line for line, problem for problem, it's going to look the exact same, different numbers. You know exactly what you're getting into, and you get to make a roadmap to tell yourself how to do it. Okay? So you get what you get. It's 10% of your overall grade. I put it in as 10% no matter what. If you hit the Good Samaritan option, that's the grade replacement. What if I get lower? Okay, it goes in as 10% of your grade, like any final. Okay? For an everyday block class like this, you can hit 10. It's a lot. For the Good Samaritan option, though, it's 8. Good Samaritan option, you have you have fewer than 8 absences, you have 80% or better homework and note completion. You've been doing what you're supposed to. Get a better grade on the final than your grade going into the final, that is now your grade. School activities don't count against total. COVID quarantine doesn't count against total. So if you were gone for track, if you were gone for drama, you were gone for the math competition, you were gone for whatever, that doesn't count against you. Mom excused you because you just didn't want to show up to school that day, yeah, that counts against you. Okay? So you got the review, get the review done. The day before finals, the 24th, is a Q&A session. Do not wait until then and then just expect me to go through the entire review. There's not enough time. Okay? If you go into the Google Drive link on our webpage, scroll on down, the final key is there. Okay? Or the final review key is there. Depending if I updated the PDF or not, there might be one or two goofs on there. I think there was something there with parenthesis brackets, but that's about it. So, get that done in the next, what's today, Thursday? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In the next 11, 12 days, get that done at some point. Okay? Here we go. I'm just going to cherry pick questions out of there. Same as the review and the 2-day final. It's going to be proportional to how much time we spent in those sections. So, case in point, since we only spend 4 days with Chapter 6, there's probably only going to be 1 or 2 questions. Since we spent 3 weeks in our trig function stuff, there's going to be a lot of that. By proportionality. Okay? I'm just cherry picking the most important stuff. Study up. There was a lot of kids last semester who were sitting at like a 92.4 headed into the final, weren't nearly as hot as they thought they were, ended up with a 91.8 for their final grade. Okay, I don't round, it's right there in the syllabus. All right? GPA doesn't matter. It's what you learned and what you get on your ACT that matters. There's way too many kids rolling around with a 4.0 that are getting a 24 on their ACT. If you got a 4.0, you should have a minimum 30 on your ACT. But that's because of grade inflation. Matrix operations, we did matrix addition and scalar multiplication back in Algebra 1. We did it back then because you were supposed to be using them for transformations in geometry. Remember, I think I talked about that when we reviewed it at the very, very, very beginning class. If I have triangle ABC was A is 1, 2, B is 3, 4, C is 5, 6. And then it told you to translate the triangle 5 units to the left, 2 units down, rotate 180 degrees, dilate from the origin by a scale factor is 5. That took you forever. It took you forever because you were supposed to be doing this. Translate 5 left and 2 down. You're adding the matrix -5, -5, -5, -2, -2, -2, which you can just do in your head. -4, -2, 0, -3, -1, 1. Okay, there's my 2 translations. Reflect over or rotate 180 degrees. All right. I'll just swap X and Y and negate them. Dilate from the origin by a scale factor of 5. All right. Multiply everything by 5. That's where it is. Ta-da. Done. Instead of spending 15 minutes drawing triangles. It's what you're supposed to do. I've been begging them for 7 years to do that, and they're not doing that. What? Oh yeah, that would be 5. Oops. Okay, so you've done some matrix operations before. What we haven't done yet is matrix times matrix. This should have been done in Algebra 2. Rant about parental misconception of Common Core. We did not do it in Algebra 2. Every matrix has dimensions. Its dimensions are row by column. You always get the directionally challenged people. What's a row? What's a column?
Row, column.
Rows, columns. Think of the columns outside of various Greek-style structures. Okay, we have most of our governmental buildings have those big marble columns in front of them. Okay, Tetris, columns. Eliminate a row. Okay, so row by column. The idea behind multiplying matrices is you're really multiplying two tables, and those tables have labels, and those labels apply to everything in that row and everything in that column. So when I multiply these things, I need to multiply a group of things. So when I make a matrix, remember if this is matrix A, then these elements are A sub 1, 1, because it's row 1, column 1. This is A sub 1, 2, because it's row 1, column 2. Well, if this is element A sub 2, or A sub 12, 1, 2, to make it, I'm going to multiply the rows of the first one with the column of the second one and add it all up. If I want to get this, that's row 2, column 1. Take all the stuff from row 2 times all the stuff from column 1 and add them up. This times this, plus this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this. They're corresponding elements. First term times first term, second term times second term, third term times third term. Now, what you get here is kids who read a lot of manga, they're fine with this. Drummers, they're good with this. Anyone who's used to not going left to right, up to down, like most of our text is written. So what happens when I have to take this times that instead? Well, now I'm having to take this row times that column. The order swapped. And most of us can't go this way, back up, do this. It bothers us. We'll see who is directionally challenged. When I say directionally challenged, can you do the circle, Pat?
Well, I can do that.
Okay.
That's easy.
Now, whatever hand you just did, do the other ones.
Easy.
Okay, now do the padding first, then the circle.
Easy. What do you mean?
We usually start the circle first and then let that go on autopilot. Then switch over to the padding. And it's because of this, it's our brain structure. It's the way that we coordinate our movement. Okay? And that's why I said drummers, they're good at this because they're used to putting different directions on different axes. You seen that little girl who's like 4 or 5 years old and she's been up on stage at a couple of concerts just jamming? Like there's videos everywhere on social media about this kid. She's a friggin' prodigy. She's good. She's really good. Okay. In order to do multiplication, though, I have to make sure that it's even possible. Up at the top here, next to multiply matrices, I want you to write is not commutative.
So they have different dimensions.
Not just that, they can be square matrices. You can have a 3 by 3 times a 3 by 3. A times B is not B times A. Because this row times this column is different than this row times that column. The order in which you do it really matters in a matrix. Additionally, I have to make sure that this is even possible. So here's what I mean. If I'm going to take A times B, and I'll even write that, A times B, I'll rewrite them. 3, negative 1, 4, 0 times negative 2, 0, 6, 3, 5, 1. And then down here I'll set up BA. Negative 2, 0, 6, 3, 5, 1 times 3, negative 1, 4, 0. Okay. The first thing that I need to check is, can I even do this? And I can only multiply A times B if this is a 2 by 2 matrix times a 2 by 3 matrix, row by column, right? Row by column, row by column, row by column. I can only multiply them if those inside dimensions match. If those inside dimensions match, I'm allowed to multiply these. Additionally, whatever the outside dimensions are, that tells you what the result is going to be. Multiplying a 2 by 2 with a 2 by 3 will result in a 2 by 3. So I'll come over here and I'll make a 2 by 3. And since we're probably going to have to show some work here, I'm actually going to break that up so I can see what I'm doing. 2 by 3, 2 rows, 3 columns, 6 spaces, 6 elements. All right, now me and Frank were having some issues last hour. So if I'm doing this, that's row 1, column 1. So I'm going to take row 1 times column 1. First term with first term, second term with second term. And then I'll add them up. So I'm going to write out, this is negative 6 plus negative 3. First term with first term, second term with second term. Row by column. Now if I switch to this, now what is it? Row 1, column 2. So take the stuff in row 1 times the stuff in column 2. Row 1, column 2. 3 times 0 plus second term's negative 1 times 5. Okay? I'm now in row 1, column 3. So take row 1 times column 3. No, bad Frank. Stop it. So 3 times 6 is 18 plus negative 1 times 1 minus 1. I am now in row 2, column 1. So I need to be in row 2 with column 1. First term with first term, second term with second term. Negative 8 plus 0. I'm now in row 2, column 2. So take row 2 times column 2. 4 times 0 plus 0 times 5. First terms, second terms. I'm now in row 2, column 3. Take row 2 times column 3. 4 times 6 plus 0 times 1. Row by column, row by column, row by column. It tells you the dimensions of the matrix. It also tells you what things to multiply. So my end result is -9, -5, 17, -8, 0, 24. Okay? Now, down here, if I try to do B times A, this is a 2 by 3 rows by columns times a 2 by 2. I check my middle dimensions, and they do not match. You say, okay, I can't do it. But think about why you can't do it. If I were to start a matrix of some kind, this very first thing here is row 1, column 1, right? So I'm supposed to be taking row 1 times column 1. Where's the problem? -6 plus 0 plus crap. Like there's nothing there. Well, can't I just extend it and put zeros down there? No. The matrix is the matrix. You can't just decide it's going to be this. Well, some people can. You know, there is no spoon. It is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself. If I tried, how many times have you been doing like stat plots and regression stuff and gotten the error window that says error dimension mismatch? What you're trying to do is put something in your X list and match it with something that doesn't exist because you missed a value in your Y list. That's exactly what happens here. In fact, if you were to put these in your calculator, you would end up getting error dimension mismatch. They would just tell you, no, you can't do it. Speaking of, let's go back to something from your assignment. What was another one we did? The 20s, right? 20, like 8, 9?
28, 29, 32, 30.
Everyone get a graphing calculator on hand. Yep. Second plus 7 into 2. Okay, everyone there? Look right above your reciprocal button. X to the negative first. Matrix. Second matrix.
Right below alpha. Or, sorry, right below
Killing me,
alpha.
Smalls. Matrix. None of these have any information in them. So I need to edit one of those matrices. This particular matrix that I'm about to make is what kind? What dimensions? What rows by columns? 3 by 4. Start typing. 4, 8, -1, 10. Is that a 3 or an 8? 3. 3, -8, 9, 14, 7, 6, 5, 0. Y'all good? Okay, if I try to do anything else right now, it's just going to keep typing inside the matrix. So quit, get out of there. Back to your main screen. Now let's go back to our matrix stuff. I want to solve a matrix. That sounds an awful lot like math. Scroll on down. Reduced row echelon form. REF.
That's what I was thinking.
Reduced row echelon form of second matrix A.
Boy, how'd you get to that?
I went back to the matrix. Okay. Go to your matrix menu, enter your matrix in the edit feature.
Reduce.
Quit out of there, go to the math feature, reduce row echelon form of, quit out of there, matrix A.
Enter. So we can check our answer every time.
Yes. Now, I'm going to offer you the same bit of warning that I offer every class, every year when we do matrices. There is a difference between you doing something and your calculator doing something. And every year when we hit this test, someone tries to BS it. Someone is going to start working in the matrix, probably eliminate their x's, not know where to go from there. They're going to write a few steps to make it look like they're mathing, and then they're just going to write down the answer that the calculator gave them. They're even going to write the answer matrix at the end so it looks like they got there. 0 out of 10. And I'm not even joking. 0 out of 10 if your work does not match your answer. Because there's a big difference between you can do it and your calculator can do it. Mm-hmm. You can use this to check your answer. Use the calculator to check, not to do. Your work must match your answer. And it takes me a long time to grade the Chapter 6 stuff because I do go through every line of your work. And when you get down to the end of your matrix and it says 24, 13, -18, but then you just write -13 because that's what the calculator told you, wrong. 0 out of 10. Because that isn't your answer. I would much, much rather that someone did it wrong of their own accord because I'm going through all your work. If you got all the way to there and you had 24, 13, -18, I can look through your work. I know where you went wrong. It was right here. You missed this one negative. 9 out of 10. Good job. You get all the way to the end. You checked your work. You don't see where you went wrong. And you know you're wrong because your answers are like 57 out of 113, 49 eighths. Like, they're just trash. Check your work. Check your process. You look through the work and you look through the process. I can't find it. You write your note next to there. I checked this. I know that this is the answer because the calculator said it. I know I'm wrong. I can't find it. I will probably find your error and you will get the 8 out of 10 or the 9 out of 10 because I found the error. But if you try to BS it, you will get a full 0 out of 10 on it. Okay? Get it right or wrong of your own merit. Get your 36 out.
I borrowed it out to someone.
Oh. It's got that feature on there too. It just says System Solver. It's an app. Okay. You can use that to check your answers. Likewise, as we're going through our, nope, not you, multiplication, if you want to type them in, matrix A, edit, enter stuff, matrix B, edit, enter stuff, matrix A times matrix B, enter, you will get the answer. It's a great way to check your answer. But next to this problem on the test, it's going to say work must be shown to receive credit, which means you have to have this box. Yes. I don't care if you can do it in your head or not because I don't trust you, especially after the conversation you two just had. Okay. Row by column, row by column, row by column. Multiply A times B and B times A if you can. If it's possible, go find A, B, and BA. There's a reason I don't show kids that until after 6-1. And it's because how many of you would have just BS'd it and not struggled through and not found the trick that works for you?
Oh, what on this page? Really? Stared right at me like a minute.
Yep.
It's the dimension. Yeah, this one's bigger than this one. This first one's bigger than the second. Doesn't make it, that means that
It's the dimensions.
it's the inside
The
dimensions.
inside
If the first
dimensions.
one is bigger than the second one, then it doesn't work.
It doesn't matter about the overall size of them. It's the inside dimensions when you're multiplying them. When I take row times column times row by column, these two have to match. If those two match, like you can take a 4x2 times a 2x20. Because you'll have a 3 and a 2 on the inside that will not match. Mm.
Shoot. How long can I make a 3 by 3?
Oh yeah. So then I think that
You just
I set on. I thought you were doing it.
And it would be a 2. It's a 2 by 2.
yeah.
It's a 2 by 2. Yeah. I'm not even. Wait. Row? Like, row. Row's horizontal. Row. Row. Dangerous. That's Jack. What'd you say? I'm saying AB. You got it wrong. It's possible. What did you volunteer for? Oh, I'm first. That sucks. Why would you go first?
Go first, you set the lower bar. You never let the overachiever of the class go first.
Oh, I understood. How do you think
It just does. Trust the process.
Oh,
0, 2, 5, plus
26.
7. Oh,
Will, what'd you get in the top left
yeah, 8.
of AB?
I did BA because I'm kind of stupid and didn't do A. I think it's negative
Oh.
4.
Top left.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
on number 1, if you're doing A times B, that's a 2 by 3 times a 2 by 3. You look at your middle dimensions, they do not match. So it's not possible. Because I would be trying to take 3 things times 2 things. There's not enough to go around. Same thing here. They're both 2 by 3s, so when I flop them, it's still going to result in the same thing. Row by column, there's not enough to go around. Not possible. For contestant 2, A times B, 2 by 3 times a 3 by 2. My inside dimensions match. That means it's possible. The reason that I'm going to end up with a 2 by 2 is because my outside dimensions inform that result. I'm going to end up with a 2 by 2 because I only have 2 rows to multiply by 2 columns. That's why I'm getting 2 by 2, because I will have a sum total of that many dimensions to multiply it all. So, off we go down the wild blue yonder here. I'm going to take, this is row 1, column 1. So I'll take row 1 times column 1. -4, 0, and 27. This is row 1, column 2. So I will take row 1 times column 2, getting 0 plus 0 plus 9. What?
Wouldn't it be 3 times 2 times 2 by 3, not 2 times 3 times 3 by 2?
No. It's row by column. 2 rows, 3 columns, 2 by 3.
But there's 3 elements.
Yeah, but it's when
It's just
And then I'm in row 2, column 1. So I'll take row 2 times column 1. Corresponding elements. First element, second element, third element. 10 plus 7 plus 9. You see how beneficial it is to write it out again instead of just winging it with what's on your paper? This is now row 2, column 2. So I'm going to take row 2 times column 2. 0 plus 3 is 23, 9, what's that, 16, 26, 3. Okay. B times A is not the same thing. These are not commutative. You check your middle dimensions. They're the same. That means it's going to work. What this is saying is that I will take 2 elements times 2 elements. That's why the middle set of dimensions have to match. I will be taking 2 elements times 2 elements. I will do that 3 by 3 times. So I come down here and I say 3 by 3. If you have to grid it out to see what's going on, then write it. And can you follow it without the arrows? -4 plus 0. Use your finger tracking. 0 plus 0. 6 plus 1. Nope, 6 plus 0. That was close. Row 2, column 1. Do row 2 with column 1. 2 plus 0. 0 plus 0 again. -3 plus 0. Do row 3 with column 1, 2, and 3. -18 plus 15. This is Algebra 2. I see it in some Algebra 1 classes. If this is row 3, column 2, you take row 3 times column 2. The first element times the first element, the second element times the second element. 0 minus 21, and then the last one would be 27 plus 3. Write your end matrix. -4, 0, 6, 2, 0, -3, -3, -21, 30. Yo.
So for the top, or for
Uh-huh.
You have to, like, if you just realize, like, that it's not going to work because of the dimensions, do you have to write it out?
No.
Like, that you're, okay.
No. If you know it's not going to work because you can check the dimensions on it, then don't. I mean, maybe for work, like I would see number 1 on your paper. I would say 2 by 3 times 2 by 3,
Yeah,
and I'd just say no. That's good enough.
And then, for,
And then,
so for the bottom ones, like, do you have to rewrite them, like, together like that, or can you just, like, put it together?
if you can track them,
Okay.
go for it. I'm telling you, a lot of kids are going to screw up a lot of mental math because they can't read this way, then back up to this one. Think about how many times over the last 2 days doing all the other matrices, you have accidentally picked up the wrong number as you're writing things. It wasn't a 14. Oh, I turned it into a 4. Okay. Oh, that was another thing. I forget who did that this morning. Someone was asking. They had numbers, numbers, numbers. And boy, they thought that was a 14 instead of a 4. That's why I started switching to today squiggle line. Make it a little more obvious. These are all just tips and tricks. If you don't need them, don't do them. If you don't need to rewrite them so you can always go in the same pattern. How many of you, when I said, can you do the pat circle thing, immediately went to your dominant hand on your head? How many did? Dominant hand on head. Okay. How many of you started with the gut instead of the head? What do you do first? Okay. Everyone right now, off the top of your head, no cheating, pick an integer 1 through 10. The vast majority of people will pick 3 and 7.
Because they think that 5 is not random enough.
Because human beings are horrible random number generators. We pick the numbers 1 through 10. We immediately discard the extremes. We don't like the middle because it's not random enough. So they'll pick the quartiles. The majority of people will pick 3 and 7. Of those, it's like a 60-40 split towards 7. Do that to your teachers. And then when they say 3 and 7, tell them they're not original. Okay? So we need some practice with that. Skip the next 2 slides. We will come back to them. I want you to take care of, again, AB and BA. Use what works for you. If you need to write it out, write it out. If you can finger track that way, okay, fine. But what I do want you to have is your work step written and then your answer. Show me that it's you doing this and not the calculator. I think we've talked about the random number generation in here before too. Okay, because true random numbers have streaks. You can always tell when a person generated a random number list because it won't have streaks in it. So when someone places all of the correct answers on the multiple choice final using a random number generator, it is entirely possible that you get 5 problems in a row that are all B.
That's what I tell my with the ACT. Every time I'm doing it, like when I did it, I was like, I got 5 in a row.
Yeah. It correlates with gambler's fallacy,
Yeah, so I was like,
where if I flip a coin 20 times and it comes up heads every time, I think there's a greater chance that it has to be tails the next time.
even if it's happening.
It's not, it's still 50-50. Now, at that point, I'd start thinking about, is this a weighted coin? That's why people bet more and more money when they gamble. If I put $5 into the pull tab machine, then I put $10 into the pull tab machine, well, I've already gone through so many tickets. If I put 20 in there, I'm guaranteed to hit it. And then you make a cardboard bridge out of all the spent pull tabs, and you string them across the table, and your father-in-law gets mad because it points out how much money she's wasting.
I just can't like figure out the rows.
Hey, that's -2, -12. You know what? We'll finger track. So I don't trust myself. So what's that? 12, 8, 20. That's 0, -4. That's 1, 9. That's -6, -6. That's 0, 3. Boy, that's annoying. And -3, -2, -5. I'm doing mental math before lunch. Somebody come out and stop me. 9, -5, 4. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Get that out of there. That's 9 and negative. Oh, that's right. That's 3 and 0. That's -6. And that's 0 and 0. And yes, I'm putting question marks by them because I did mental math before lunch.
Bottom left on AB is -7.
Yes, I agree.
You agree?
BA is correct on number
BA
1.
is correct.
BA good on number 1?
Yes, I haven't done 2 yet.
Hey, I told you. I told you. You could do one of them.
It's 2 by 2.
Yep.
2 by 2.
Hmm?
Now I put ABA.
I think it should be 10 for BA.
Which
Top
BA?
0, the second BA.
Top 0, B, A, B, 9. No, that's 9 and -5.
3 plus
I got 9 and -7.
Yeah, 0 and 10.
BA will be row by column.
BA, I got 10 and 0. Wait, which?
I got 9 and -5.
Oh, we're talking about AB? AB.
Talking about this guy.
Oh, BA?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. No. I got 4. Yeah, 4's right.
And then negative 6 is right.
No, I got negative 7.
Well, you're mad.
Well, we'll just check stuff. Row, column.
No, it's negative 6.
That's 0 and 10. Okay. Oh, I thought you said top left. Okay. All right, so that's 10. Negative 6 and 0.
9, negative 7.
And 0, 0. Okay. Then 9, 0. Yes. 15, 0. Yes. Negative 3, negative 4. I did. Okay. I did negative 3, negative 2. And then negative 5 and 0. Okay.
Wait, the bottom right.
No, bottom right's right.
No, they're good. I just double checked them.
Okay, so 10.
That's an awful lot of, I mean, it's really simple arithmetic, but you can get lost in the matrix.
I see it now. 2 times 2 is 1, 4. I see it now.
That's it. It's just row by column, row by column, row by column. Write them out if you have to. Okay. This is arithmetic. But there's a handful of us that are going cross-eyed right now. Are you writing it out? Are you writing out A then B, B then A? Okay. Okay, we only got about 5 minutes left here. I have to show you the other thing. We're running like 5-10 minutes behind first hour. Okay. The other part, go ahead and cross this one out. We'll do this one because they're 3x3 matrices instead. And I really like that it's 3x3s and 3x3s because can I take a 3x3 times a 3x3?
Yes.
Can I take a 3x3 times a 3x3? So to answer the question, you have to know not just which one can I multiply, you have to know the right order. Because this row by column thing determines my answer. See, this one is all about number sold. This is all about price. So when they ask the question, determine which model generated the most income for the first 3 months. I want to know at the end of those 3 months who made the most money. So if I do A times B, I'm going to have this guy times that guy, which is row by column is month by model times row by column, this is model by month. We know it's 3x3 and it's going to match, but those two on the outside, they don't just tell me what the dimensions of my answer are going to be, they tell me the labels of my answer. They tell me that this matrix will have January, February, March by January, February, March. So that's going to give me sold by price. This right here is all of the January stuff sold at the January price. What's this? All the January stuff sold at the March price. I don't care what gas was in 1996, Grandpa. By the way, I do actually remember seeing sub-dollar gas. I remember seeing 88-cent gas. I was born in 84. I graduated 2003. I'm not that old. It's just gotten that bad. Okay? But BA, on the other hand, now I'm going to have model by month times month by model. So my inside dimensions will match. Look at what it says for my labels. So now this is going to be the price, 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be the sold, 1, 2, and 3. Row by column also determines the labels of row by column. So I don't have to multiply the entire matrix, because do I really care what the price of the Model 1s were at how many Model 3s were sold? I care about 1 with 1, 2 with 2, 3 with 3. That's what matters. It's not enough to just say I can multiply these and I can math. Yay, good for you. Do you know what it means? Do you know how to put row by column with row by column so that it makes your matrix, your new table, match what you're asking? Which model generated the most income? That means I don't want a table that's talking about months at the end. I want a table that's talking about models at the end. You will have at least one like that. I don't care if you do it by the calculator on the word problem one, because it's probably going to have big numbers. I care that you write down your terminology so you know which way do you do it and which ones do you care about. Okay? Tomorrow we'll go into 6.4. I forgot we skipped 6.3 because that's Kramer's rule. We're not going to finish any of 6.2. All the stuff about inverses and stuff, cross it out. We're not doing it. 6.3, cross it out if I even printed it in there. 6.4, we're not going to do all of it. I'm just getting you what you need to go to Trig and Calc.